This is the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast, hosted by David Charlton, and you're listening to this podcast to help you build your own mental toughness, or so that you can support other people or your clients better. Either way, you will learn more about developing this plastic personality trait that all but guarantees that you will perform better and lead a more prosperous life. Hi there, I hope you're well. I hope April so far has been a good month for you. As far as this episode goes, it is a bite-sized episode again. This time we're going to be honing in on goalkeeping. You know, the goalkeeper's role in football or soccer is arguably the toughest role on the pitch. Right now, there's going to be many goalkeepers who are potentially going into matches seeing themselves as the potential loser, not the match winner. That's right, they're going to be faced with lots of very difficult situations, lots of pressure from other people, and a lot of pressure from within. So on this note, I'm going to be sharing the thoughts of Andy Elleray, an author and a goalkeeping coach, who talks about mental toughness for goalkeepers and how goalkeepers can go on to help themselves with their mental approach. I'll also share my thoughts a little bit later too and offer some solutions.
I think for me, it's a big one, is dealing with adversity. I think that's a real big one because within goalkeeping, you're going to make so many mistakes. You're going to have tough times. You're going to give the ball away. You're going to let easy goals in. When you're younger, you're going to let balls through your hands. You're going to get beaten over your head. And I think it's just being able to understand that that's part of the position and being able to deal with it. It's how you bounce back from that. Being able to work with coaches and people around you to develop strategies that you can kind of be in a really good, clear headspace. And then part of that as well is you're not going to maybe play all the time, especially as you get older. You have to work your way to get in the team. As I said earlier, you're not like you can be a striker on the bench, come on for the last 20 minutes and score a couple of goals to win the game. The goalkeeper doesn't have that luxury. So you have to be mentally tough to be sitting on the bench and wait your turn, but then earn your turn as well, which is something working at, the 16, 17, 18-year-olds at the minute. If they're looking to go on loan or looking to get in a team, you need to give them the tools that if they're not playing, they are tough enough to be able to deal with that. And as well, taking criticism too. People are always quick to point fingers at the goalie. Oh, we should have said that, should have done this. From people that probably don't understand the position and have never played in it. And that's a big thing for me, is that you don't have to have 100 England caps to coach goalies and to work with goalies. But in my own opinion, you've had to have played the position to understand it, because it's really unique. But, to answer your question, mental toughness for me as a goalie is dealing with adversity and everything that encompasses.
You mentioned fear there and a little bit earlier about dealing with adversity, dealing with mistakes. So if let's say I'm a young goalkeeper and I struggle in that aspect where I let my head drop, I end up dwelling on mistakes. What would your advice be to them to be able to snap out of it, instantly on the pitch?
Yeah, I think before that, you explain to them that it's part of the position. It will happen. It's not unusual for this to happen. What I've done before is, it's done in a light-hearted way, but you show top professionals making mistakes. And it's right, they make the same mistakes as you. So you might have received the ball for centre half and tried to play longer, mishit it, and it's gone to the striker and scored. Right, you're a 10-year-old kid. Right, this is a senior international doing it. So you're making the same mistakes. It's the same game. So it's trying to then say to them that it is accepted and it's part of the position. And then if someone's struggling with it, you have to be there as a positive reinforcement. That's all you can do. And you need to let them experience that and expose them to that in training, so that when they play competitive matches, it's not alien to them. So ways you can do that in training is to increase the challenge level at different times, so they're out their comfort zone. So you might lay on a practice that is really hard in terms of the expectation of you. You might save 1 out of 5 shots here, but you have to learn that if you're going to conceding goals is part of being a goalkeeper. So you have to build that into your training. And then you're not going to do that all the time, because obviously looking at, morale and, their heads are going to drop if they're conceding goals every session. It's too hard. But then it's being able to dial up and dial down around, that change level in training and how you structure it. And so then when they do cross the white line on a Saturday or a Sunday, then if they do make a mistake in the game, then they've got, right, okay, I'm going to crack on. It happens. I'm going to, I can't let that affect my next action. That's a conversation we've had in the past kind of few weeks at one of my clubs, at my club, is that not making multiple mistakes in a short period of time. So once you make a mistake, don't make 2, 3, 4 after that, because your game's just going to capitulate. So then it's making sure that, right, okay, I've made a mistake. I might have made a mistake leading to a goal, or I might have done something that's affected the team. okay, this is a clean slate. You have to crack on. And there's no right or wrong way to do that. I've tried, you do things with like wristbands and sweatbands and have like trigger words to reset yourself. And there's loads of research around that. So just finding what works for that individual. When I was working in the girls' game, we had something where they had like superhero bands on. So like they would have one had Iron Man, one had the Hulk, one had Catwoman and Wonder Woman. So it was like if you were feeling a bit down in the game, or you made a mistake, or you were feeling a bit anxious, you look at that and you think, yeah, no, that's me. Like that's where I'm going with that. So again, this, you'll probably know more than me, or ways around coping strategies around different aspects of the psychological side, but doing little things like that with the youngers and making it relatable to them and connecting with them in that way, I found is really valuable.
Well, Andy offered some great points there when he talked about goalkeeping, and he really did illustrate the complexity of the position and the need essentially to be very, very brave. When you think about goalkeeping and when it comes down to bravery, you've obviously got the physical side of the game with the big strapping centre forward or centre half who might well clatter you when you come out for a cross. Then you've got to be brave with the ball at your feet, especially if you don't see yourself as well equipped for playing the ball out of the back. Then we've got bravery in responding to mistakes, bravery when it comes down to dealing with criticism. Yet what I would say though is there's a step before actually being brave and executing your skills. What I'd like you to do now though is just take a step back. Am I going to consider bravery when it comes down to executing relevant skills? So let's think about a goalkeeper who makes a mistake. They're probably going to be frustrated, disappointed, potentially angry with themselves. There's a fair chance that they could get in their own heads for a little while. And something that they need to be able to do is process that emotion and then move on very, very quickly. And for some, this is really, really difficult. But they've got to do it in order to be able to switch on for the rest of the game. So being brave is all well and good when we move on. Yet, I would argue there's something that's got to come before that. And it's something which is really, really difficult. When you've got this anger, this frustration, disappointment all playing in your mind, it can be very, very difficult to think about being calm and composed. And really, this is what is required as a goalkeeper in lots of situations. Being calm and composed. If you think about David De Gea when he played at Manchester United, he encountered lots of criticism, as all goalkeepers do. But he was a very good goalkeeper for Manchester United over the years. And one thing about him I'd say is he always appeared to be very, very calm and composed. So I'm going to offer you now some advice there on how you can turn yourself into that calm and composed goalkeeper. First thing I'd like you to think about is what your calm and composed face looks like, and what the experience of being calm and composed feels like on the football pitch. You might want to consider some trigger words, some cue words, which link to being calm and composed. And hey, they might well be those words. If you were to go back to another episode, which I recorded with Dan Abrahams, he talks about a game face. In this case, I'm talking about a calm and composed face. I'm going to put the link in the show notes to that episode because it is worthwhile listening to it. Essentially, the words that I'm talking about though here may well be calm and composed to hear, or simply calm and composed. Now, if you train yourself by visualizing yourself as calm and composed in different situations, or maybe when you're in training sessions, you can try and act out that calm and composed to hear. You can repeat those words to yourself on a regular basis. You can take it into matches. It may well help you navigate different situations on the pitch, so that when you do get angry, frustrated with yourself, disappointed, or when the pressure's really on in a game, if it's a big match, a cup final perhaps, or a relegation decider or something, you can draw upon some of these images and some of these words that you can play in your mind, and they can really, really help you. Give it a bash. And for more tips and tricks like this, please do sign up to the X Factor newsletter. It's a regular newsletter I send out every 2 to 3 weeks at the moment. The details are in the show notes. And until Tuesday, which will be the last of a 6-part series of football or soccer related episodes, have a great day.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sports psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.